Aren't are you exhausted from overworking your mind? You keep telling yourself and believing that the judging, analyzing, comparing is the price of success. So there's no another way of going about it, that we have the mind and we have to use it. And many times it gets to the abusing part, because with all the information that we experience exponentially, if you look back into how many devices we used to have and how many devices we have now in technology, it seems impressive that we saw technology advance. However, how much abuse and how much stress is that extra stress on our minds and our bodies to be able to process all of that. We running like those chickens without the heads. And because sometimes it feels like a real mental hell to be in our head, because it feels like overheating there, like any machine, any phone, when it's overused, a car, a computer, a laptop, no matter what technological that uses the energy, and we also energy. And when we overuse our energy, we can really truly burn ourselves. And that overthinking and that burning ourselves to crisp doesn't mean that we tend to believe that we not worthy, or we don't put enough efforts. It actually means that we are disconnected. Like I said, at some point we start running, we feel like in mental hell, and we start running like that chicken without the head. And then we don't, like, we so disconnected out from our heads, separated to our body and to our heart. And that's what creates even more of that mental health for us, when we really truly start losing our resolve, trying to get some meaning and some clarity, and it becoming more and more foggy, because there's no connection. If you would unplug the phone and depleted the battery, how far would you go with the phone that is not charged? Same with our body, with our mind, with our heart, with our lungs. If we not charge, if we don't give to our body that energy and just keep depleting it, eventually we will burn out. We will be feeling depleted. We will feel the overwhelm, and and that will actually lead to even more of that overthinking, and creates even more distressing emotions, because you start panicking of what is going on and why it's happening to me, and getting to some very distressing thoughts, and getting quickly into like a quicksand and sinking yourself in it, or attempting to escape from it and making some very irrational decisions based on the feelings, based on overthinking, that you could that you will actually regret later on, because you just want some peace of mind even for a minute, and you feel like you cannot handle, and you're not expected to be handled that. However, you get to, those are the opportunities and possibilities for you to realize that it cannot continue that way, and you get to actually reconnect with you, to recharge you, to be able to keep moving forward. And that reconnection is between your mind and your heart. Many times we don't realize we're relying so much on our mind and our brain, and forgetting that we have a very powerful organ as our heart. And we not used to using it, we always feel in protective mode of the heart, because we feeling with our heart, we discounting our intuition, so we don't feel we can trust our heart. We rather trust our mind. We're not used to our intuition, and the more you start practice like using your mind, you can start experience more of that ease, more of the power in that connection between your heart and your mind. When it's more established and practice more in that cohesion, you can accomplish much more. When you not forcing, you start realizing that it's not about the force but about the flow. And with that cohesion, there's more power. You feel more open with your mind, more open with your heart, more open with your body. You feel safer. You can take the breath. That's another part, that many times with all that distress that we're creating with that disconnection from our mind, because we feel in that mental health, we also forgetting to breathe, and that can even suffocate our mind, our heart, and our body and our lungs even quicker. From biology, that our body cannot survive long without the oxygen. So we constantly withhold our breath and overwhelm ourselves and suffocating our mind, our body, enlarging our hearts and expanding our lungs, that ready to burst from that suffocation. So remembering to consciously start breathing again can create those glimpses of heaven, and not just waiting until we transition, that this earth is nothing but the hell, and we just have to accept that. But we actually can experience mental heaven on a daily basis when we know how to connect with ourselves, through creating that cohesion between our mind and our hearts. When we consciously using our breath, our life force, we can really create a through heavenly experience on earth, and experience that on a daily basis. It might not be every moment. However, the more you experience that goodness of mental heaven, you wanna experience more of that, and start getting your mind on board as well. That yes, let's go for that, instead of disconnecting yourself. And when those moments are happening, we get to experience those as well, because those are opportunities and reminders that it's time to connect again, that we went too far and disconnected ourselves from our self, from our source power, and running on that disconnect will not last too long. So before it becomes detrimental to your well-being, to your mental stability, emotional, physical, spiritual, you redirecting yourself back to experience more of that mental heaven, and from that cohesion of the mind, of the heart, of a relaxed body, relaxed lung, when they can breathe easily, and can get you much further. And when you in more of that in yourself, you can be that role model for others, to show them for who you are, as remembering who you are in that unity and cohesion as one, that show that for others it's possible too, that they don't have to keep suffocating themselves, that they don't have to run on that disconnect and hoping for the best, overcharging themselves with technology, overcharging their mind with all the data, all the responsibility, and that keep growing those to-do lists, and burning themselves to the crisp. You can remind them, you can be living your life and let for them to start observing that it's the possibility that it's not just one time done and forget about it, because yes, subconscious is also powerful, and if it was run on certain way, it might try to default again to that default of disconnection. So consciously keep reconnecting to create more of that unity within, to spread that unity to others is so important. And that's why I'm so passionate about creating more of that unity in a conscious and honest and authentic and present community, against those forces, unconscious forces, unconscious beliefs, and unconscious people who keep running, and not only they they gelling themselves and they disconnecting themselves, but they also become controlling and manipulating and attempting to bring on board to their mental health other people. And they in so much distress that for especially heart center visionary people who not somehow can don't remember to keep practicing that connection, those conscious breaths, some even innocent moments of that disconnect, or forgetting how to breathe, can land them in the situations that they never experienced to be, because of the powerful disconnect and force that somebody is creating for themselves. And they get trying to kind of to with their fire, they trying to bring on board other people through the force, and not through magnetism, through alignment, through expansion, but contractions, because they don't know, they feeling uncomfortable in their own body, so they think that they have to make others uncomfortable, so it will create some comfort for them, and it's food us from the truth, because there's more. It's like becoming a loop when you uncomfortable and you not realizing that in order to create that comfort, it's up to you, not somebody else. Not guilting, shaming, or controlling other person will create that comfort for you. Might be temporary, but it will be really short-lived. You will if you don't look deeper, when you don't allow that reconnection within, it will just continue. Maybe if the same person will not allow you to manipulate them or controlling, you will be looking for another victim of your manipulation and control, and until somehow you start realizing that it's not the way to go. Maybe somebody will teach you the lesson that they feel like enough is enough, and I will not buy to your stories, I will not buy to your manipulations, and will be firm with you and direct with you and tell you go F yourself, and I'm not buying to what you're trying to do here. And that's easier to do even in a very kind and polite and loving way, when you standing in your power and using your voice, when you don't have to argue with a person that is unconscious, when it's manipulating you, when they show up many times, when you actually more connected, you operate from much higher frequencies, that they not so in resonance with you. But when somehow there's something within you that's still in transformation, and you attract some of that controlling and manipulating person, you will not be in so much distress like you possibly used to, and ready to give in to that person just to experience even a temporary peace of mind, and not experience hell that they creating for themselves and creating for you. They you will be in a resolve that somehow you won't buy to their manipulation, to their controlling nature, and then you will be standing in your power and connected to your source power, conscious breathing, and just look at them, and they just realize that they cannot go too far, that they get to actually look back at themselves and realize or find another victim to go and mess around with. But hopefully they coming to that awakening more process that they can have so many of those victims to create more of that mental ease for themselves, and start realizing that it's up to them to create that mental heaven that can be lived on a daily basis, and not just when you potentially transition to the other realms, because you just have to keep pushing here and keep creating hell for yourself and for others. Let's start opening to the potential that we can create that mental heaven for ourselves, and that we can ripple that possibility to others, that is possible for them, and they start coming to that realizations and the resonance, and feel how wonderful it feels when they experience more of that mental heaven, how much easier, how much more powerful it becomes when you in that mental heaven and not that mental hell, when you in contraction, when you suffocating yourself, your body, your mind, your heart, your lungs, it can be detrimental. But when you start opening with that cohesion of connections and conscious breathing, your body, your mind, your heart, your lungs, you can be much more powerful for yourself. You can experience really beautiful experience with yourself, and also share them with the others, and be that role model that you can do it and they can do it, and you start living your legacy and showing that others can live their legacy, and not just leaving one behind when they transition, and same that they experience those heavenly on earth experiences on a daily basis. And the more the practice is present on a daily basis and more consistent, the more you start seeing that difference. And even if you again experience some mental hell, the easier and quicker it becomes, like, oh, okay, I think I disconnected myself, maybe somebody showed up, maybe somehow I dropped my frequency, and some old program is running through my body and through my mind. So let's redirect, let's reconnect. And there are very simple things with the breathing. Well, you just got to breathe, remember to breathe. And taking those deeper breaths. And there's a different ones. Lately I've been practicing from my dear friend Harrison, who I love his meditations that he seems to be recommending, breathing for 4, holding for 2, and breathing out for 6, that create more of that deeper presence. My favorite exercise that is very simple, that can be done anywhere, anytime, is to put one hand on your heart, one on actually your stomach, because many times we think of our mind that it's in our head. Yes, there is, but there's also like a second mind in your stomach when you create many times, and that connection is important in your with your second mind in your stomach, when you experience that safety, and with putting one hand on your heart and one on your stomach, create that connections, like you plugging to the outlet. That's probably the best analogy I can give. You plugging to the outlet earphone when you can start charging. Same when both hands, one on the heart, one on the stomach, creates that connections, that like circuits are closed and the energy start flowing. You might have actually some energy in your hands that kind of charging through through your body, and that closeness connections of to you touching your body, you touching your heart, you touching your stomach, create that safety, create more of that expansion and connection. And it feels that you can eventually with practicing more start feeling that flow, that much easier, that you don't feel so stuck anymore, but you start feeling like being charged, like you charging yourself with your hands, and adding to it a conscious breathing, even closing your eyes for an even more empowering experience, to experience more of that presence with yourself and with your source. For me, it's God. To experience more of that ease, and more of that presence, and more of that power, that it's the possibility for you, that it's possible to show for the others. So it's very simple and practical things that we many times forget, and overcomplicating, utilizing constantly our mind, that it's too simple. And we complicating matters, and overthinking and judging, and over analyzing and comparing, because some other people telling us that it's not that simple. Well, it takes effort. However, the simpler the better, because the simpler, and you start realizing that those simple things can be very powerful. You can easier get your mind on board, and more find the willingness, and creating a habit that will somehow become like a second nature for you. Because if it's too complicated, your mind will be interfering even more, and telling you that it's too complicated, I cannot do it, and you will be just keep running like a chicken without the head, disconnected, and finding the new way, what is more sophisticated way, what more sophisticated technology you have to have in your possession, what more sophisticated modalities you have to experience to create that connection within, to experience more of that ease, to feel better in your body, or maybe what addiction that in disguise, because many times there is a judgment of certain addictions that are common, but maybe that your addiction is to work. You feel that okay, if I just keep pushing myself through work, it will somehow free myself, and it's creating even more of that disconnect. So, without further ado, with all those practical examples, how you can go about that reconnections, and how you start consciously breathing more to experience more of that mental heaven on earth on a daily basis, and living your legacy. I mentioned about my passion of creating that conscious and authentic community, to build that immunity. So for more details, feel free to reach out. You can put in the comments connect. You can also, there is a links on the website, awaken-women.com. There are weekly blog posts where I share my reflections and my wisdom about the topics. This month of June is about the heaven, and I been asked to approach that from mental, physical, mental, and spiritual components on a weekly basis, to bring that kind of together. They're not separate, they are together. However, putting emphasis on each of them on a weekly basis to see where there's a potential improvement might happen. Maybe you experience more of that mental heaven, and that share here will just reassure you that it's possible, that it's worth pursuing that even further, and experience more of those mental heaven moments. Maybe there's still emotions like running wild, and you get to somehow bring more of that awareness to the emotions and transform them. Or maybe because without that physical, mental, emotional, it's hard to create that connections to your source power, to your spirit, when those three are not in alignment, when you thinking separately about mental, emotional, and physicality of things. When you're separating them and they're not in unity, it's harder to experience spiritual awakening either. So anyhow, without further ado, I'm inviting you to reach out and see how we could co-create together. You can check, there's some free resources on the website. I also, in the description of the channel, finally updated the links to the website, to the blog, to a power generator, which is a free resource that was created out of I tune to my inner wisdom that is powerful, and I start realizing another very simple tool that is very powerful, and I call it a power generator, that can be of support to you in your transformation, in stepping more into your power and using your voice, especially for women mid-age, when you already in that transitional period and your power is raising, and you start reflecting, and instead of doubting your abilities and continue to drain your power, or living in a guilt that maybe half of your life is gone, and you don't know how to step forward, feel free to reach out, and let's co-create together some amazing difference for ourselves and for others, where we can live our legacy and share that legacy with others, and not just leave one behind when we transition, and experience more of that heavenly experience on a daily basis. So without further ado, sending so much love, joy, peace, light, compassion, and see you around.